Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Jack with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I've got a quick 10-minute intense core workout that you guys can do on the regular to help keep your core in tip-top shape. Before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance. That includes workouts like this. So, jump on it. Ready? Let's get into this one. Alright guys, so today's workout is going to be a quick 10-minute core routine that you guys can do on the regular. And if there is one area that we should be focusing on the regular, and if you're just starting your workout or exercise journey, it would be our core. There is one important thing we need to understand about the core, and it's if we can organize and stabilize the core well, then naturally that's going to help us have a better opportunity to stabilize and produce more force in all other lifts and other areas. So whatever you're doing, if you can really control the core, then you have a good base to work off of to continue to build your strength. If you do not know how to control and organize your spinal column well, then that's where we really start putting ourselves at risk of further injury, specifically to the spinal column, but even in a movement sense, it's also just going to limit our range of motion that we're able to get and our flexibility, because our body's going to lock up. It's not going to let us go into further range of motion if it doesn't trust that range of motion, because you're putting your body at risk. So that is the importance of a core workout like this. We need to understand to organize well and stabilize that spinal column. And this routine, it'll get it done for you. All body weight stuff today, 10 minutes, and we're gonna get right into it here. Ready? Here we go. Guys, here we go. Starting on your backs, roll those shoulder blades down and back, heels close to the butt, drive the hips up nice and high. You're gonna perform a march on each side and then lower back to the ground. Every time we lower back to the ground, we want to feel our low back, lumbar spine come flat back to the mat here. Each time I raise up, I'm focusing on my glutes performing the raise, and even as I pick that opposing leg up, I want to focus on the glutes on the leg that's driving through the floor, while I use the hip flexors on the opposing leg that I'm drawing toward the chest. So each time lower, raise up high, glutes engaged, keep them locked in, engage those hip flexors to draw the knee to the chest on each side, and then lower back in, reestablishing the base through the feet every time. I want to make sure my feet don't start creeping out here, so I'm keeping that knee bent, my heels close to my butt the whole time. I'm driving my elbows and triceps into the floor, keeping a nice base for my upper back and shoulders here. We're spending about 1 minute on each exercise, but you guys can rest as needed in here. And now we're going to transition to a single leg glute bridge. So I'm keeping that bent knee position here, and I'm driving through a single leg, focusing on keeping the knee in line with the middle or smallest toes of the leg that I'm driving through. So this will help me keep all of my glutes engaging, stabilizing through that one side here. Still, just like the regular glute bridge we were doing before, we want to make sure that we're coming back to the mat with a flat lumbar spine, flat back. The one thing I want to look at here is I'm trying to minimize any shifting of my body or rotation of my body, and that's oblique work right there, honestly. They're learning how to stabilize from that single leg, making sure I don't feel too much hip drop in this position. So that is one thing to pay attention to. If you get a lot of drop, that's your obliques letting you down a little bit. So focus on those obliques staying engaged to stabilize. The better you drive through the hips, that'll also help here. Go ahead and switch legs. We're going into the right leg now with the same form here. So my heel is close to my butt. You can see I have an arch in my foot this whole time. So one thing that'll definitely help is if you have 3 points of contact from the foot, the first metatarsal, the fifth metatarsal, and the heel. Shouldn't feel like you're flat-footed at all. Should have a pretty good base there. Still keep those shoulders rolled down and back so you are able to anchor from the triceps and from that upper back as well. Keep driving through those glutes. It's going to get challenging toward the end. Don't worry about the speed of the reps, worry about the quality of the form. That's the biggest thing here. Form is what matters most, always. So reps don't matter, just perform with quality. We're almost coming up on the end of that minute. Keep working hard here. Drive through, focus on keeping those hips level, making sure we're not rotating or dropping as we lift up from the floor. Very good. All right, we're gonna be turning over here to a side. We want our top leg extended. Our hips are gonna start bent, and we're gonna drive the hips forward with my top arm reaching up overhead. So what I wanna feel is that my glutes engage, and I'm trying to create an arch underneath my body here. I'm working on the forearm, so I wanna make sure my shoulder blade is rolled down and back, and I feel my armpit engaging on that lower side. As I reach to the top, I wanna feel a big stretch through that top side. And like I said, how much can you arch that bottom side from the knee up into the armpit? And once again, we're focusing on the obliques here. So I do sit back in this one and then drive forward. The glutes are helping, the upper back's engaged. And this is what I was talking about being able to stabilize and organize your spinal column in different planes, different positions here. So if we can work here in this position, we're gonna be able to do more loaded carries. Go ahead and switch sides here. So switching, so you'll be able to see a back view. You're gonna be reaching long again over the top. You'll see me driving those hips up nice and high toward the ceiling, but also driving them forward. That's where the glutes are really working to get engaged, especially that bottom hip. Every time, pulling my elbow down into the hip crease will help with that arch back down, so you'll feel yourself actively lowering. We're not just letting gravity do it as well. Once again, stable shoulder from that bent forearm that you're anchored on. You want to make sure that that armpit is engaged, that that shoulder is engaged well, and it feels nice and stable. If you get too much pressure in this position, you can also do this from a fully extended arm from the bottom. So we can put the hand down and use a longer arm to create the same movement. Either one will work fine. You could also do this with a bent leg on top if you'd like to engage the top glute. All right, turning over, we're coming to the knees between the hands here. And what I'm gonna be going to is tucking the knees toward the chest as I push the floor away. You should feel those abdomen really engaging. We're putting the spine in deep flexion here and really going full flexion all the way from head to tailbone there. Up on the toes, every time I push through the floor, it should feel like those knees come directly to my chest. And there should be no doubt about it. You should feel the abs engaging every time you push here. Try and keep the elbows in toward the body, making sure we're not rotating the elbows, flaring them out wide. We shouldn't feel a shoulder shrug. It should feel like your chest is collapsing and making space for those knees to come into. I'm not doing much from my feet, honestly. I'm just pivoting on the toes. So if you don't have this range of motion at the toes, you could try also taking the toes out of it and doing it from a pointed foot where you're not using extension. But just know that eventually you do want to restore that toe extension there. Next, we're stepping out into a plank position. You will see that I do have the shoulders protracted a bit here. And I'm going to do a slow march, working on driving one leg back, focusing on the glutes engaging, while I draw the other knee into the chest here. So I'm trying to pull in with the hip flexors, the knee to the chest as high as possible, while driving the other leg as straight as possible back behind me. That's making sure that we stabilize the pelvis well. One leg pushing, the other pulling. So think of it that way, almost as if you were drawing a bow with your feet, a bow and arrow. So I'm pulling that bowstring up as I push that bow away. And that's where we're feeling a tight flex of those abdomen. And after that last one, they should start burning at this point if they haven't already. Very good. Next, drop down to the mat here, engage the glutes, the toes will be tucked under. You're gonna have your elbows down as low as you can toward the side, rolling the shoulder blades down and back. I'm trying to pull my scapula into my mid-back as much as possible. And if you look at my forearms, I'm very light on the mat here. It's almost as if I'm trying to pick my forearms up off the mat using the musculature of my upper back. Here we're working on a global extension of the spinal column. So my pelvis is stabilized through my glutes, pinning down to the mat. I'm pressing my pelvis into that mat there. And then I'm trying to actually almost hold my upper body up off the mat using the strength of the spinal erectors here. This is a challenging one as well. You might feel like that mid back wants to cramp. Once again, rest as needed on these in this position. It can get challenging, but we're trying to work the core all the way around in different positions. Good, drop that head to the floor. Now we're gonna work on scapular stability. So what I wanna do is raise the arms up behind me as much as possible, thumbs to the ceiling with the arms as straight as possible in a Y shape. I'm making sure that I'm not shrugging the shoulders here. I'm still pressing my pelvis into the mat from my gluteals, making sure that I'm holding that structure from down low. If I don't do that, I'm not gonna have a very easy time lifting the arms. When I lift the arms, we wanna make sure that I'm not shrugging, and I'm holding each rep as long as I can in that top position there. It's a lot of work to get that little bit of range of motion, so don't feel bad if you don't quite have all that right now. Just know that once again, it's something that we can work on and improve that mobility and range of motion that you're working with. You might also notice that your elbows are pretty bent. That's another one that we can work on, opening up that chain of the arm that allows you to straighten out the arms using those triceps a little bit more. All right, guys, we got one last one here. It's gonna be a hollow body position. So come back to your back, press your lumbar spine to the mat, bring the heels closer to your butt, and then imagine trying to touch your ankles with the palms up toward the ceiling here. So you'll make a bowl shape out of your abdomen and your chest. That really is as if you're trying to hold water inside your body there. We want to relax the neck, making sure that the chin stays tucked to the chest or toward the Adam's apple. And I'm not lifting my body with my chin or my head here. That's a common mistake. I'm peeling my shoulder blades off the mat from my abdomen. So the movement comes first from the abdomen, and then the neck muscles support the abdomen. All right, and there you guys have it. A quick 10-minute core workout routine that you can do regularly. Should have been pretty intense for you guys, but I hope that you made it through all right with a little bit of sweat on your brow. Nothing wrong with that. So if you guys like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share it with a friend. Maybe you could challenge them to this one while everybody's still kind of in quarantine here. And last but not least, if you have not already, take a moment to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, we're putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance. And once again, workouts just like this. So, welcome to the Stronghold Army. I'll see you guys next week.